Welcome back to the channel. So in this video, we're going to do something a little bit different. We're going to be talking about books. And we're not going to be talking about cookbooks, but reference books, culinary reference books, which are drastically different. And more specifically, I want to talk about that one, which is my favorite, which is the Larousse Gastronomique. I believe that this book should be on any serious cook bookshelf, that you're someone at home or someone working in the industry. And I'm going to give you 5 reasons why I believe this is the case. And most importantly, I'm going to take you through the book and actually show you how to make the best out of it. Because perhaps you're someone that bought that book, didn't quite gel with it because it's not a cookbook you didn't quite understand, and it's kind of gathering dust as we speak on your shelf. So if that's the case, take the book out of there, brush it off, and let's start to use that beautiful manuscript that is the Larousse Gastronomique. Let's go. So let's talk about the Larousse Gastronomique. It is not a cookbook. It is not easy to adopt. I bought mine 10 years ago when I started my channel, and at first when I opened it, you know, there's a lot of knowledge and pages of ingredients and tons of text and things and fascinating story, and you think the weight of the knowledge that's in there, you think like, it's like an aura. When I opened it, I was like, whoa. But when you open it, it's kind of overwhelming, and it doesn't look like a cookbook at all. It's like a big encyclopedia. It's all, you know, alphabetical kind of orders and, you know, names and ingredients and that sort of thing. So yeah, not an easy one to use, but as we will discover, it is actually not that difficult once you get into it. So what are the 5 reasons I like that particular book? Now the first one is that it is not sitting under the umbrella of one person. So the Guide Culinaire from Escoffier, for instance, is just Escoffier, right? It's great, but it's Escoffier, Escoffier, Escoffier. This is a collaboration with hundreds of chefs around the world. Okay, so it's got plenty of people that came together, you know, iconic chef, standard chef, pastry chef, you know, anybody, charcutiers, whatever, they all came in there and added their bits, and they all agreed that yes, what we have in here is pretty much accurate. It was led by Joël Robuchon, that is unfortunately dead, to make that latest version that we've got here. But I think that is the first reason. It's great that it's a big collaboration effort. The second reason is that you can use this as a source of truth. So if you want to tell a story, you're on your blog, you want to write something in a newsletter or anything like this, and you don't know about French cooking or anything like that, you can look in here, and whatever you're going to have is going to be mostly accurate. If you want to have a history of a sauce or the provenance of something and how to use an ingredient and or when that first ingredient appeared in France or whatever, you'll most likely find the answer, and it is going to be accurate. Because the internet, for instance, you're never sure if it's true. So using this, you have a good source of truth. Reason number 3, that goes beyond just French cooking. Because in French cooking, oh, it's only French, French, French. Well, the Larousse Gastronomique is a contribution with chefs around the world that includes chefs from Japan, you may have chefs from Norway, from Italy, from Spain, and you will have references to ingredients that are not French. So if you want to make a dashi broth, you have an explanation of what it is, where it comes from, and how to make it, for instance, that sort of things. And that is something I really like. Now, the 4th reason I like this is that it also contains more than just the classic kind of references. And they went through the effort of kind of catering for everybody. So if you're someone that want to learn, for instance, if I can find it, about basic techniques, right? Well, there is a section in that book, okay, that has step-by-step instructions on how to do basic fundamental cooking methods, how to do meats, how to do fish, a bit of pastry, a bit of baking, and all the little things to get you started. So even though it's not a cookbook, you can have that little educational bit that I find very handy and very good, and it's a great little place to start with. It's just a little 20, 30 pages in the middle, and you can go through that, and you're going to be learning absolutely a lot. And for the last reason is that on top of these techniques, they also have a recipe. I don't know what the number exactly is in here, but I think it's 2,500 recipes. So imagine, so you can get your facts right, you can learn a lot of things, you can get an answer to a lot of questions that you may have, you can learn about techniques, and if you're interested in making recipes, you're going to get some unique recipes that works. Because as I said, everything in this book is accurate. And this is another bonus. When you make a recipe and you buy a new book, you've got no way of knowing if the recipe is going to be working. Is there a typo? Are the measurements correct? Where in this book, you can go blind, make the recipe, and it's going to work. And this is really useful. So that's for the 5 reasons. Now let's have a look at how to use that thing exactly. Now, if you're not into techniques, one of the things that you can do with that book is to actually start to look at the section with the pictures, because they are very helpful. It sounds a bit childish, but they can come of a great help because you get a visual clue of things. So before going into a text-only thing and trying to find out, what is the sauté déglacé means in French, that sort of things, well, you may have some herbs in your garden. You may not know for sure what's the difference of a look between, a flat-leaf parsley or curly parsley, or even chervil that sits here, and if you may have some of these in your garden, you can start to go and identify and say, this is parsley as well. Well, I can use it in that sauce, and you can even look it up for each name, and you will get a reference telling you, it's usually used in that kind of dish. You can put this into this salad, you can put this into an omelette, that sort of thing. You've got some tarragon in here, some very, very familiar, but there's some other ones that you've never seen, and perhaps I think I had this one growing in my garden and was not sure what it was, and I had to actually look it up and just learn something. And the same applies for a lot of other things. For instance, a cheese, right? So if you go on the cheese section, the good thing, if you go to your shop, for instance, you have a wine tasting, you do some kind of wine tasting. We did this recently with some friends. You don't know what cheese to choose. You're not aware of French cheese. Well, here you got the definition in text, but the good thing, you have the pictures. And the book is not kind of overwhelming you with millions of cheese and a list of 100. You got one page, okay? You got 2 pages talking a little bit about blue cheese, and then different styles of cheese, some goat cheese, and that's about it. The rest start to talk already about foreign cheese, like the Gorgonzola, the Parmesan, and other things. And this is a great place to start. It's a great place to start. When you don't know what to do with that book, let's take another example. So for something even more simple, you can go to apples. So apples is something that is very common. You can have them in your supermarket. But it's a big question, which apple should I use for a tarte tatin? Which apple should I use to make my apple tart? Which apple should I use for stewed apple? An apple strudel, a crumble, or even baked apples. Well, this is showing you the pictures how they look like. So you can go to your supermarket and you have the names. So if you see the name, you can say, yes, okay, that's the apple. And then in here, I think on the next page, it will then tell you, for instance, okay, which apple, where they're coming from, what types of flavor profile, are they more acid, more sweet, and how you can use them. Are they holding for cooking? Are they best in that preparation? X, Y, Z. So very, very handy. Like this, you have a perfect apple dish every single time. And this is the secret of chef. They use the right fruit with the right tests and adapted for the types of cooking they're going to be doing with the apple. And that's how you get the best result. There's no surprises. And the same goes here. Potatoes. If you don't know about potatoes, you can look and it's going to tell you this is the variety, the name, and they're going to tell you again before, are they new type of waxy potatoes, are they the more flowery type, or an all-rounder type of potatoes, plus, of course, giving you some example on how you can prepare them. It's great. Now, away from the picture, obviously, this is a reference book, so anytime you have a question, you hear a French term. For instance, demi-glace, when in terms of the world of sauce, you hear this in a lot of videos. What on earth is a demi-glace? Well, you can open the Larousse Gastronomique, you're going to go to the letter D, you're going to go there, you can see demi-deuil, demi-d'oeuf, demi-glace, and then you got the definition. Now, keep in mind, this is a French version, but this book exists in multiple language. I'm sure I've got another English version, so if you're an English speaker, you will find this with the English definition, and then it tells you exactly what a demi-glace is. And that applies also to techniques. So staying with the letter D, we can go to déglacer, which is the action of deglazing. And here, if you never know what it is, it's going to tell you exactly, of course it's in French and you have it in English, and this is the action of dissolving with the help of a liquid that corresponds to the appellation. So basically, if you make a wine, so it's going to be wine, Madeira if it's Madeira, consommé, cream, vinegar, anything, and it tells you that it is the caramelized juices at the bottom of the pan. And when you pour the liquid, it starts to make that sauce, and it tells you have to add the liquids slowly, and when you're done and it's reduced, you can then add your stock and continue to make on your sauce. There's a bit of a larger definition, And that applies for any kinds of techniques that you want. But techniques is one thing, but you can also look for instance, a name of chefs or personality of people in a history, and even ingredients. Also here, as you can perhaps see, we're on the section of mussels. Okay, so it's telling you about the types of mussels and everything like this. And there's a little bit of the history here. And this is one of the questions that I had in my head not too long ago. And I was like, who actually first farmed mussel? Who had the idea to start to farm mussel? Because it's kind of an odd thing. And I was thinking, yeah, some kind of monk back in the days, near the sea, they had this, engineer thinking, with the tides, we're going to install some things and we're going to try to catch these mussels, whatever. And it turns out not at all. Now, when you look at the history here, it is actually the making of an Irish guy that is actually called Patrick Walton that decided to left Ireland for no reason on a small wooden boat that's basically bigger than a walnut and barely made it through the channel and just crash landed in the western coast of France near Brittany. And he got stranded there with no money, nothing to eat, and he just decided to survive by planting pieces of wood in the mud and put his fishing net over in an effort to catch seabirds. It didn't work, but what he got on his nets was an accumulation of mussel that starts to grow everywhere on the nets. And that's how the story goes. He basically invented the most successful way of farming mussel that's still in use today, and they yield the best mussel. So if you're from Ireland, I'm grateful for your Patrick Walton that crash landed on our shores. Okay. But these are the type of fun facts you can get into there. But I did talk about recipes as well. This is the last point we're going to cover here, so let's have a look. Now, to finish on that little video here, of course, as I said, if you're someone that looks for recipe, there are recipes in that book as well. So if you have this 2,500 recipe at your fingertips, do not forget that, because they're all great recipes. Some of them, of course, are a little bit more complex, but most of them, they're not that complex. So typically, when you look for a recipe, of course, it's not as straightforward as opening a cookbook, say, I want to a main, a dessert, or a starter. What you have to do is to look for the ingredients. So if we take chicken, say I want to make some chicken tonight, can I get some idea? How can I prepare a chicken? Well, you go to the poulet. It could be chicken in English, okay? And if I'm turning the page, you will see that these two are all chicken recipes. And some of them are not large, some of them are larger, and you're going to have here how to prepare the chicken. This is the Basque chicken. You got a chicken in beer. You got a lemon chicken. You got a Creole chicken with pineapple and rum. That's quite fancy. Stuffed chicken with broccoli. You get an American version, the poulet frit Maryland. An American version of the grilled chicken, and you go on and go on, poulet sauté, Alexandra, sauté chicken, archiduc, this more classic stuff, etc., etc. So you can go and pick and try something that you haven't done. And the sauté chasseur is here, I can see, and even the chicken in vinegar. So you will see some familiar recipes, unfamiliar, and as I said, the good thing is that the recipe typically works, and you don't need to worry about the outcome. So what we're going to do to kind of prove this, we're going to be making a recipe, but not in that video. That was just a quick video at the beginning of the week. But this week, I'm going to be looking for a recipe that's not too difficult. I'm going to stay in the season, and we're going to go through the instruction. I will tell you exactly, how simple it is to follow, even though we don't have a big slab of text, we don't have fancy pictures, just to show you what we can do with that beautiful Larousse Gastronomique. This is just a midweek video. We're going to be continuing this week with another recipe from that book. But as I said, if you have the book, take it out of your shelf, brush it off. You're going to find all the answer you need about techniques, about ingredients, start educate yourself. Even if it's simple things like look at salt, the types of salt, of pepper, of vinegar, of oil, and you're going to learn so much stuff, and you can make lots and lots of recipes as well. Plus, remember, the middle part, the culinary techniques, the basic ones, super useful book. Anyway, I will see you later on this week for a recipe, so make sure you join me again on the French Cooking Academy. Take care all, bye-bye.
Baby, you give me ice. giving me wind and rain. You're some kind of butterfly. Baby, you give me midnight. You whip up my appetite.